Hey guys, it's Jedi Lex, and welcome to the 28th episode of Beyond Tatooine, where I bring on different collectors to talk about how their love of Star Wars originated, as well as take a look at and chat about their collections. And on today's episode, I have Joe from the Return of the Jedi channel. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I'm excited to have you. Your collection is so impressive, and I'm super excited to finally really get to talk to you and stuff. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. And thanks so much for having me. And I'm a big fan of your channel. I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For people who may not know you, can you tell us a little bit about your channel, what you focus on, kind of, where people can find you at?
Yeah. So my YouTube is Return of the Jedi. It's basically Return of the Jedi with my name in it, Joe. And I basically just document my collection. Like it'll pretty much be first person view, me walking around with my phone, just taking videos of stuff. So I try to keep it pretty casual. I don't want it to get to the point where it feels like work. I want to keep it very loose. So it's been a little while since I put up a video, but I kind of just share my collection, and I love getting feedback from the community and kind of people asking for advice on how to display stuff. I love those kinds of interactions, and I think it's cool that some of the stuff that I've displayed has helped some others come up with some ideas. So I like that element too. But pretty much just showing off my collection and just getting away from life for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping it casual, I feel like, is really important because, when it starts to feel like a second job or kind of like a chore, I feel like that's when you lose the fun of it. And that's not really why I think a lot of us started it. We just wanted to kind of have fun with it. So I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I guess I'll ask you my first question. How did you kind of get into Star Wars? What was your introduction? What really like pulled you in?
So I've told this story many times, and I don't fully remember a whole lot of it, but supposedly I first saw A New Hope when I was 3 years old, and my father, well, our family, we got invited to my father's boss's house for dinner. So my mom, my brother, and I went to their house. They had kids, so I remember there was a room with a bunch of Legos on the floor, and I remember I was eating Twizzlers, I think, and I was 3 years old, and I remember vividly like the Battle of Yavin, like the orange goggles and all that really stood
Mhm.
out in my mind that I remember. And I remember just watching it there, and I was just like blown away. And little kids do really weird stuff, and I reacted by just throwing up all over the place. And so then we had this moment of like, I remember us leaving my dad's boss's house, and my mom like apologizing, and my dad's boss being like, "No, it's okay, we understand." And I felt really bad, and it was really awkward. But as far as I remember, that was my first introduction to Star Wars, and I guess the rest is history. But kind of just kept up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting story. So, are you a big fan of the original trilogy, or are you more of like a prequel, sequel kind of guy?
So I love all of it, to be honest. I mean,
Okay.
I was born in '84, so technically the OT was fully done and released by the time I was born, but we had 15 years till the prequels came out. So I pretty much grew up as a child watching the OT, and then I just watched a lot of that. I remember watched like the Ewok adventure movies and stuff
Mhm.
like that, like the Caravan of Courage and the Battle of Endor, the Battle for Endor, stuff like that. So I remember watching those things, and it was just always part of it. And even like watching like Sesame Street and stuff as a little kid, there'd be so many episodes where like C3PO and R2D2 would be randomly in it, and watching Muppets, Muppet Babies, there'd be like Star
Yep.
Wars moments in it. So I just remember it was just such a part of just overall pop culture of like childhood growing up in the 80s. And then 90s came out, the 90s hit, and then the special editions came out. And then that was actually my first time being able to see a Star Wars movie in the theater, which was awesome. I think A New Hope came out I think it was 97 when it actually came out. I think they did it for the anniversary year, but seeing all those in at the midnight showing in theaters was incredible. And then the prequels came out, and then it just opened up a whole other world. But it was just phenomenal. But I really love all of it. I mean, I'm a big believer in the fact that like people, you may not like all of Star Wars, but I guarantee you could find something that you like in all of Star Wars. And I just want everybody to kind of maintain that mentality because it's just such a happier world when we're maintaining positivity like that. But I love all of it. I mean, prequels are incredible. I even really like the sequels quite a bit. I absolutely love Rey and just her story and just kind of her constant search of trying to figure out who she is. That's something I always kind of resonated with me, and I like it. So I'm just a fan of all of it.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of really refreshing to hear that because I feel like lately with the Acolyte, there's been like a lot of hate and stuff, and I feel like there is something to love about all the Star Wars movies. You may not like the whole movie, but there are parts of it that you can really enjoy. So try
Right.
to keep a positive mentality. Do you have a favorite movie though?
So it would have to be Empire. Like it, if I was to do my top three, it very mixed, but it'd probably be Empire, Attack of the Clones, and then The Force Awakens. It's probably my
Okay.
top three. But just everything around those movies, I just love them for different reasons. But my favorite character of all time is Yoda, and
Gotcha.
Empire and Attack of the Clones essentially were two very big Yoda movies. But Empire, obviously, it's his introduction and just seeing all the interactions of him training and teaching Luke was just phenomenal. Resonated well with me in my career and everything, and just loved being introduced to him there. And then when Attack of the Clones came out, nowadays this isn't as special just because we've seen so much digital animation and stuff, but seeing Yoda draw his lightsaber for the first time at the midnight showing in the theaters was like nothing I have ever experienced. Like I just remember everybody was just like, no, no. And then he did it, and the whole place was just yelling the entire duel with him and Dooku. It was just everybody was just screaming, and you just could not believe it. He's flipping all over. It was just so awesome seeing that. So I really hold that movie dearly too for many reasons, and I think that's cool too because that's not a crazy popular pick for a lot of folks as Attack of the Clones, but I love it. I will defend it till my last day because it's just there's so many great things. I think the lore and the story of what's actually happening in that movie it's just so important. Like it literally alters everything, and you essentially see the dawning of the Clone Wars. You literally see the first battle of the Clone Wars in that movie. You also see it's Padme's like most badass movie. It really is, and you see
Yeah.
her really show her skills in many other ways other than politics. I thought that was awesome. The Across the Stars song is top notch. I just think Attack of the Clones is phenomenal, and The Force Awakens I like it a lot just because like it was our whole introduction to a whole new era of Star Wars, and it was just such a great feeling. And interestingly, a lot of these memories I'm already coming out with were like from say like being at the midnight showing of Attack of the Clones.
Hmm.
So it's also like the experiences around the movies.
Yeah.
But with that, The Force Awakens, that was actually the first one I got to see in theaters with my wife. So she had never seen a Star Wars movie until me, and we
Wow.
kind of watched all six, and she got into it. And then when seven came out, we went to the first showing of that, and she absolutely loved it. And it was just special being able to share that moment with her. And then we saw like dads walking in with their real little kids, and
Hmm.
just you see the generation like the passing of the torch to the younger population there. So it was just cool seeing that. But I just love the experiences around the movies. I kind of miss having to wait in line to get a seat and stuff, to be honest, at nights like that. Like, I know it's convenient being able to just buy a seat,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of cool times hanging out, waiting for a few hours to get let in. There's a lot of excitement. So I kind of miss stuff like that for movies like this, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Attack of the Clones is super slept on. I think it's such
Mm,
a pivotal movie. There's just so much, as you said, that happens. And I feel
mm,
like the battle on Geonosis is like my Roman Empire. Think about it all the time. I feel like that was like really crazy seeing all the Jedi kind of like just battle. You get to see Padme, she's a
mm.
badass. Like I just
Right.
love Attack of the Clones. So I definitely feel like it's slept on, but I
Mm,
think it's such like a pivotal movie. Like you see a lot of things, like it sets up a lot of things. So I get it. And I totally think the memories that people have with certain movies is really kind of what attributes to their favorite movie. Like sometimes it's the first movie that they see and they remember seeing and they're like, "Yep, that's my favorite." But I used to love going to the movies and waiting in line. Like that was such a thing. And then you're surrounded by other Star Wars fans. So you guys are all talking like, "Oh my god, like what are we going to see? Like what's the possibilities?" So I definitely miss that. I mean, I like the convenience of knowing I'm going to have a good seat, but
mm.
you miss out on the experience kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. And I remember we saw you seeing the Last Jedi. Like we were waiting, and all the sequels were all like holiday releases. And there was one girl that was ahead of us in line. We were waiting, and you just talked to her. What are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm basically knitting Star Wars ornaments to gift my colleagues at work. And she's like, every year I basically give them a gift. And since the new Star Wars movie's coming out, I decided to knit them all Star Wars ornaments. So we just sat there just watching her do that. But just stuff like that you miss out on with the convenience factor of these days. So it's cool. I'm glad you're kind of into that too. It's nice.
Yeah, I am, especially because I think last year we got to see like Return of the Jedi came back into theaters. So like it was really cool, like actually really getting to go and everyone was dressed up. You had people from the 501st and their full cosplay, the lightsabers, like it's just like an experience. You have like just an atmosphere, a room filled of Star Wars fans. They don't have to be the most intense Star Wars fans, some of them are, but it's just cool being around people that love Star Wars. So it's like it's just an experience. It's great. Same thing with Phantom Menace this year. Wasn't as crazy, I feel
Mhm.
like, but I feel like seeing them in theaters is always a really cool experience.
Yeah, definitely. And where'd you the theater you saw Phantom Menace at? Did they show like old commercials and stuff before the movie? Do you remember? Did they do that?
No, they had pretty like I feel like they had like the typical like new movies that are coming out, and then they did like the Acolyte kind of premiere like
Mhm.
showing thing, but it wasn't really no, I don't remember if they were old commercials. I think they were like newer commercials, like get
Okay.
your popcorn and you use your app and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So ours, we went to a Alamo Draft House. And
Okay.
basically, it's a theater. I don't know if it's nationwide or not, but it is a chain. But basically, there's like a full food menu, and you can order food and drinks and stuff, and like a server will come to your seat with the stuff. So it's kind of cool like that when it works. But I don't know if this was just special to that, but basically before the actual like preview started, when you're kind of just sitting there chilling, they basically played all like TV commercials from 1999, where the Phantom Menace was like promo, like the old like Pepsi commercials and stuff like that. And I thought that was such a cool touch, but we hadn't had so much fun just watching those. But I wasn't sure if they did that in every theater, if that was more of like a special thing we got to see. But sounds like it was a little more unique to Alamo, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that definitely seems pretty cool. I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that would have been a nice touch, but that's pretty cool that you got to experience that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Yoda as your favorite character. Did you
Mm.
finish Acolyte?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on kind of seeing his head at the end? Like the whole just end credit is just Vernestra walking in and there's Yoda.
I was happy with it. I mean, I was happy seeing him. Like I had the feeling he was going to appear at some point, and
Yeah.
also I was very happy that it was very subtle. That it ended up not becoming like a major thing. But I don't know. I thought it was just like the nice touch because like the last episode, just having I don't know if it's spoiler territory or not, but
Go for it.
just there's a couple major cameos for a second, and I
Yeah.
thought that was just perfectly done because that allowed the story told in the Acolyte to still be fully about the new characters, and not having
Mhm.
like a familiar face just kind of dominate it and take it over. So I liked how they kind of just subtly stuck them in. But yeah, I was happy to see him, but I was more pumped to see the other one though. Like when they
Okay.
showed
Yeah.
Plagueis, yeah, that was the part I was just like, yeah, I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I was definitely very shook when he kinda, like, came around with his fingers, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that Plagueis?" Like, I had to rewind and watch it again. I was like, "This is insane." Because I started reading the Plagueis book, like, prior, and I was like, "Maybe this is his time period," so I was, like, super excited to see him, and I think a lot of people kinda speculated that Yoda was, like he was around for this time period, but they were like, "Maybe we'll see him as a cameo, maybe we won't, like, what are we doing?" But I really liked the fact that it was new characters.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we always have the main characters, Han, Leia, Anakin, Padme, like, those are always the front runners, which I love, don't get me wrong. Give me any more Anakin, I'll take it,
Mhm.
but it is nice to see new characters and kind of exploring different stories in a different time period, so I think it
Yeah.
was very subtle and done in a very good way.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And piggybacking off your thoughts too of the seeing the new characters, like it. I would be also happy seeing any of our familiar friends
Mhm.
always get more stories and stuff from them. But at the end of the day, like I'm 100% content and fine with the stories that we have of those characters, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I just don't know how much I would keep wedging in and adding to it, you know? So I kind of like seeing new things explored a lot more. And Acolyte was just I really enjoyed it. Like I thought the colors and the stylized aspects of it were gorgeous. I think it was phenomenal looking. Whoever was behind the fight choreography literally needs to be hired for everything from here out because I think just the hand to hand combat and the dueling and stuff was among the best we've ever seen. And I do think there were times I think the theme of it kind of there was a big overlying theme of like everything is your perspective. You know, there is no right and wrong. It's how you choose to view it, and I like that. But I think sometimes it went a little overboard with that, where there were times I was a little confused of even the motivations of some of the characters. Like we can, I love you, and then 3 seconds I hate you, like just flipping like a switch like that. So there was times I thought like the whole like perspective aspect kind of clouded some of the other parts, but in no way did that make me dislike the show. Like I really, really enjoyed watching it, and I thought there were some awesome moments.
Yeah, 100%. I really enjoyed it too, so it's cool to, like, hear someone else that enjoyed it, but I thought overall it was really good. Yes, there's parts of it I didn't really like, and there's some
Mhm.
things that I wish they might have done differently. Like, I think having so many main characters kind of like, trying to expand how many characters you're focusing on kind of made the depth of some of those characters not understandable. Like May's character, I feel like she kind of was like back and forth. I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm good. And I was like, oh, I don't really know. But it didn't make me dislike the show so much, but I still really enjoyed it. We got some really cool things. We got to see a crystal bleed. We got Plagueis, Yoda. I think it was really cool for the High Republic people getting Vernestra on screen. Like, I think that was a huge win. So,
Mhm.
lots of positives I feel like that came out of Acolyte more than negative.
Yeah, totally. And I think to an extent too, like some of I can't speak for like the Marvel Disney Plus shows because I've never watched any of them. Like I'd be very casual with Marvel. I could do sports and I could do Star Wars. That's like all I have the bandwidth to fully handle like watching and keeping up with stuff. But like I haven't watched any of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, so I don't know like the lengths of the shows and things like that. But I feel like some of these Star Wars shows, they're kind of just victims of how long the show is. Like, because I would say probably two of the more renowned Disney Plus shows have been The Mandalorian and Andor. And I think those are both like 12 or 13 episode seasons, I think.
Yeah.
And like, imagine like a lot of like, they just fit so much into the Acolyte in 8 episodes. And imagine how much more they could have added in with extra episodes and then maybe could have been they could have streamlined these like say May for example her kind of changing tunes it could have added more depth to that because it just told so many stories just wedged into such a such a short series and same with like Kenobi and Ahsoka being 6 episodes. I mean I think sometimes some of these shows are just at the victim of how many episodes they're able to get stuff in, you know, like Acolyte it could have been a 3 trilogy movie with how many things were touched upon and were told in that. And I definitely
Mhm.
think it would have added a lot of the like emotional attachment to the characters and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just I just feel like sometimes some of the short mini series are kind of just so wedged in that it gets done and you're just like, whoa, what just happened? And then you get to watch it again, and you get to reflect more, and that's cool. But like, I don't know. I think this is definitely one that could have been more spaced out, and it could have added a lot more to it because so much happened in the Acolyte.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like Disney has like a like their algorithms like either 6, 8, or 12 episodes, and I feel like there shouldn't be like a limit on it. Whether you have to
Right.
have it in 3 episodes or 4 episodes or you have to do 13, 14 episodes, just give me quality story writing and
Mhm.
just I'd rather have quality over quantity of episodes. And I feel like if they had more episodes or maybe they trimmed down certain episodes, it could have been a lot more streamlined, but I
Mhm.
still feel like overall it was still really good. So,
Yeah.
that's where I'm
Who's
at.
your favorite character out of the newer characters in Acolyte? Who would you say if you had to pick one?
I really liked Kymir's character or the stranger. I really don't know what we're calling him now, but I really like the fact I feel like a lot of us were like, yeah, Kymir has to be like the guy in the helmet, the Mr. Toothless or whatever. Because you
Mhm.
could just tell, but I really liked how like they kind of dangled it in our face. They didn't make it like such a mystery, like we thought it was one person, then it's like someone completely different. I thought they really set his character up nicely. And I feel like with everything that they did with him, it kind of like made sense. Like he wasn't flip flopping back and forth. Like he had a plan. He was looking for the rule of two. He didn't get that with May, so he's trying it with Osha. I thought his kind of how he talks, like his lines were so good. I thought his fighting style, like it was just amazing. I was super impressed. I don't know if that really has to do with the actor that played him, because I think he did a lot of his own lightsaber stuff or the
Yeah,
choreography of it, but I really enjoyed his character. Just everything about it I really liked.
yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. It was too good. And his lightsaber too, like how it just breaks in it. Thought that was awesome. Which didn't
Yeah,
make sense to me in the finale when Soul kind of cut it in half, because I was like, maybe you still have your little one, but I really liked his character. I thought everything about it was really cool. Like his outfit, I really liked the helmet and everything that they did with the helmet too. I thought was really cool, kind of folding in cortosis, and even in the finale when they're having the fight scene and they're like holding the lightsaber and it's kind of like dinging off his helmet. I was like, oh, like this is so cool.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So I guess speaking of shows,
Mm.
last question before we look at your collection, because it's so impressive and I'm dying to talk about it. What would your favorite show be?
So I would probably say Ahsoka at this point. I really liked Kenobi as well,
Mhm.
but I would probably say Ahsoka. I just thought it was great. Loved it start to finish.
Ahsoka was a very good show. I mean, I'm a Clone Wars stan. I love the Clone Wars, and I really loved Ahsoka's character throughout the Clone Wars. So I think getting to finally see her first in The Mandalorian and then kind of explored more in her own show with the Clone Wars flashbacks, getting to see Anakin or Hayden, like I just thought everything about the Ahsoka show was really good. It's probably my favorite show, like live action at the moment. So
Heck yeah.
totally agree. And Kenobi too was
Mm.
phenomenal. You totally got to see a darker side of things, and
Yeah.
I think the whole thing between Obi and Anakin, or Darth Vader, like getting to see him in the cracked mask, like it was perfection.
Yeah.
Too good.
100%. That scene. I mean, that the Kenobi finale. Like there were a few scenes in that just like stopped time. But
Yeah,
like that scene where he has the interaction with the cracked mask, like everything in the world was just like frozen at that moment. It was so awesome.
yeah, 100%. It was like I just feel like everything about it was good. I really like the lines like "You didn't kill Anakin, I did," and then having the different colors, the blue and the red, kind of like reflect when Vader's speaking versus when Anakin was speaking. Like it was
Yep.
just I totally felt like my world stopped like in that moment. I was like, this is I can't believe I'm watching this right now. It was I think Obi is like that Kenobi show is definitely like slept on too. So I'm glad
100%.
I'm glad you like those.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you sent me some pictures of your collection, which we can kind of see some of it behind you. So I'm super excited to talk about it. So walk us through it. I tried to kind of, I guess, maybe plan it out a little bit, like as we work around the room, I think. But
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. So that's basically the TV area and the stairs. So this is in the basement. So kind of coming down the stairs, I have like all my sabers on the wall, and I actually hung them with they're like broom like mounting
mhm,
tools. They're like
yeah,
for brooms and mops and stuff, and just kind of mount them into the wall, and they held the weight. They fit the circumference of the blade, so that was nice. So I got those there, and then kind of just some other random stuff, but kind of wanted something nicer when like being the first impression when you come down the steps. So I had some sabers and then a couple of the autographs that I got, and then I'm working on it's a slow burn, but I'm working on trying to complete the 96 of the original Kenner figures.
wow,
So I have some of the figures on the wall by the sabers. I'm probably in the 50s now how many I have. So I'm
okay,
getting there, but it'll be a lot more of a slow burn coming up with some of the higher end ones. And then I actually have like a pin board on the wall above those figures that is a picture of my wife and I with Chewbacca at Disney World, and then just a bunch of pins and stuff on there. And then the TV itself, I actually just got a new TV down here, which was nice. I got it on when Walmart did their like competitive sale for Prime Day, so that
mhm,
was kind of nice. So I just got a new TV. and then have all my Legos and my books and stuff there, and then just a couple statues, and have my current 3 Hot Toys that I own. I have a Rey, the Rise of Skywalker Rey. I have the Clone Wars Season 7 Ahsoka, and the Padme of the Hot Toys. So I absolutely love those things. And I did put in a deposit for Shin when they showed the Shin Hot Toy. And then this weekend I had to go ahead and pre-order the Battle Damage Vader. Like they showed that, I was just like, oh my god. So went ahead and did that. So I'll have a couple more in time, but it's the TV area, and I actually have some video game systems there. Like my wife and I are just 2 big kids at heart, but we have an Xbox One and Nintendo Switch dock there, and then on the left side, I actually have an N64 and a Sega Genesis from like back in the day, and they'll still work perfectly. So do a lot of board games and video games and stuff down here, but that's kind of like the main TV area, and then towards the right you can start to see where it gets into my Black Series figures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's like a little closer up. So your
Yeah.
room, the things, because I used to use those, but
Mm-hmm.
I would like come home too frequently and they would be on the floor. Has yours like fallen off the wall at all?
No, so would it just like slide out,
No,
or
it would just come off the wall. Like
okay,
just and I
yeah.
was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't have this," especially when I got my dark saber and stuff. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is not good." And it's not like I have like crazy heavy sabers. Like I have
Mm,
like they're not even replica sabers, but they stuck for a very long time.
yeah.
They were good. And then like one week I came home and they were just on the floor and I was like, "Oh, like this is not good."
Yeah. So are you using like a sticky tack or like command strips for them,
Yeah.
or okay? So mine are actually screwed in.
Okay, that's
So,
fine.
but yeah, like they're not anchored into the drywall, but I did drill screws through the back of them, so they're in there pretty good.
Okay, that's probably
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just took the adhesive off. I like peeled it off, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna do
Yeah.
this." And then I think it stopped kind of holding, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is not good." So I switched it up a little bit. But the TVC figures, I feel like that is a pretty big feat because trying to get some of those are it's gonna
Yeah.
be a task.
Yeah, there's a couple sellers, the old Kenner ones I like a lot. So and basically they're just trusted sources. They'll price them fair, and from these people they're not going to be like repros and things like that. So it's kind of every now and then they'll do sales, but one's called Kenner Cantina. Um,
Okay.
but he has a website, and he has an Instagram page, but the website kind of always has some figures you could buy, but every now and then on Thursday he'll do like a flash sale that'll be like live. So he'll put up like what the figure is, blah blah blah, and you can type claim in the comments. So it's kind of fun when that's going on. But every now and then on
Yeah.
like Thursday nights, he'll do like a vintage Kenner sale where he'll come across like a collection or something he bought. So I get a lot of them from there. But the first one, two, almost the first 3 full rows are all vintage Kenner, except on the third row, the far right, there's a Grief Karga of the retro collection of like the
Mhm.
newer ones. Then it goes into some of the retros, and just the rest of them are kind of just figures that are fillers. But basically, counting it out, all the shelves I have mounted to the wall there will fit all the 96 of the originals. But basically, 3 out of the 5 shelves I have there are pretty much all the original Kenner ones right now, which is nice. So, but stuff like that, you just gotta take your time on it.
100%. Yeah, I think trying to make sure you have, like, a trusted seller is really important, especially with
Mm,
things like that, and especially with the things that cost a little bit more money than the typical, figure. Because you wanna
I
make sure that, if you're shelling out the money, you're actually getting, like, a quality product, so I think it's cool that you have a pretty trusted source.
Yeah, it's important, and
It
and
is.
with that too, just like I don't know if you've seen this channel, the Padawan collector. He goes by, I think his name's Joey, but he has one of the coolest like Kenner YouTube channels I've ever seen. But it's the Padawan collector. But he basically decided to kind of revisit his childhood, like many of us did, but starting a complete Kenner figure collection from scratch. And he basically did an online documentary of the entire thing, the entire process. And it was so well done. Like he has to work in something digital or tech related because his editing and his videos are so good, but he kind of goes over the process of how he did it. Like he made spreadsheets, and he would like track like market rates of the prices, so we'd know if things were good deals or not. And it is a really helpful channel. So I didn't really follow like his template at all, but it was something that it was really helpful to watch, just getting just some general ideas. But anybody looking for getting into the older stuff, he actually just did all the play sets now too.
Oh
We're
wow.
kind of going through that same process, but he does a really good job of just kind of giving some insights, talking about some of the mistakes he made and stuff like that. Or even like, say like the Yoda, there was different releases of them where the snakes were different colors. So there's
Yep.
one time he bought one of the Yodas and it had the wrong snake for the figure that it was, and he was upset about that. But just even stuff that you wouldn't even consider. But yeah, his channel's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out because I really appreciate channels like that are very straightforward. Like, hey,
Mhm.
these are the things that, I would have done differently when I first started collecting and things that you should look out for if you're getting into collecting. I feel like those channels that kind of focus on stuff like that and or at least acknowledge them are like very important.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah. And then you kind of move a little bit more to the right. Just
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So thanks. So basically, then you got like my Black Series figures, and then to the right of that, I have a couple statues, and then a picture of me and Ashley Eckstein that I got at Awesome Con one
Mm,
year, and then starts kind of the TVC area, and I love the TVC figures carded. I just
mhm.
think it's such an iconic look, and so I try to have I predominantly collect them carded, but a lot of them, I mean, the world building elements of those smaller figures is just untouched. It's just I love the Black Series, but you cannot do what you could do with 3 3/4 figures with 6-inch figures. I mean, it would take up an entire room having one display, you know? So it's like I kind of just display the Black Series figures just as figures as themselves on risers. And then
Mm,
I will actually make like play sets and scenes with the TVC stuff, which is probably my favorite thing to collect, just doing
yeah.
that. And then I have a Attack of the Clones picture in our basement, and that's like our window. So our basement, we have like escape windows. So we actually have like full sized windows in case there's like a fire or something. And then you go out and there's like ladders so you can get up. And I was probably in here for like a year, and it just like dawned on me. It's like, hey, I'm kind of sick of these blank windows with blinds on them. I wonder if I could fit like a theatrical poster in each. And I just kind of bought a frame, measured it, and put it in. So I have a Attack of the Clones poster in one window, and the other window has a Force Awakens poster. But I just love how it kind of synthesizes and bringing everything else together. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
didn't
there.
even
And then
notice.
my beanbag chair too. Yeah, so
Yeah, that
the
is pretty
beanbag is
cool.
super comfy.
It looks comfy. It looks
Yeah,
very comfy.
yeah. There's a brand called Yogi Bo. It's
Mhm.
called, but they actually have like a Star Wars line of beanbag chairs. So
Oh,
that's actually like a Rebellion one. So it's got the Rebel Alliance symbol, and it's like the pilot uniform colors.
nice. I
Yeah,
might have to get one.
they're great. They're really really good good company too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do, like, risers for your Black Series figures kinda thing.
I do, yeah, and it's been told that they're displayed with no rhyme or reason, and to an extent, yes, but to another extent of that, no. Um, they're literally all randomly, well, they're not like themed, as in like these are sequels figures, these are prequels figures, and they're all just kind of mix and match. But what I try to do on each shelf is I do tend to have a little more of my favorites towards the front
Okay.
of each shelf, but like I really try to diversify it. So where like I feel like if you're looking at a shelf of all troopers, they all just blend together as one thing. Whereas when it's kind of random, you're forced to look at every figure more individually, and it kind of makes you appreciate each one, you know? And just
Yep.
since I'm a fan of like all the eras, I kind of like meshing it all together. But I try to balance the colors. I try to balance the shelves if it's like troopers and humans, different races, species, things like that. I try to just keep it all just very, very balanced. But and a lot of people are like, "Oh, that makes sense now you explain that." But I'm just like, "Yeah." So I kind of like doing it like that. But I mean, a lot of people will be like, "Why? Why do you have a Ahsoka next to a Luke, next to a Reva, next to a Jawa? Like these people never interact." And that's kind of the reasoning. I just try to just keep it very balanced and even, and it just forces people to look at each piece individually than just looking at it as one one giant cohesive unit, you know?
Yeah, and especially if you do it, like, by movie or, like, sequels, prequels, like, you kind of know what characters you're kind of expecting in each, so I feel like it kinda
Yeah,
keeps you guessing, like, "Oh, what's on this shelf?" And it's just, like, a mix of everything, so I get it. Makes you, look at everything because
yeah,
I feel like looking at straight clones, it's cool, don't get me
mm,
wrong, but they all kind of you start to blend in.
yeah, definitely.
And I think you got some more down there, and you have a lot of, like, different ones, like, I see
Mm,
some of the gaming grapes ones, you've got Mando, you've got
yep.
you have quite a lot.
Yeah,
Do you
they're
have
a
a
really fun
favorite?
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say it was the favorite?
Yeah, who's your favorite?
Oh, geez. For Black Series figures, I would probably say the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, most likely. I think it's one shelf above this picture.
Ooh.
Oh man, I may have cut the photo to where, so I may have just missed it. But I think the shelf that you can see like the upper half of on the bottom right, I think that's the shelf that he's on. But I think that one is just like the perfect figure. So
Yeah.
that's probably the number one, and then the Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader is number two. It's just so good.
Yeah, they are cool. I like the Black Series figures, but I feel like they definitely take up some space,
Yeah,
especially, like and then I feel like you have to go bigger and get the Hot Toys, and those take up space too, so space is my
yeah,
worst enemy, or any collector's
definitely,
worst enemy, really. And I
definitely.
think that's a closer up of you and Ashley. She's so
Yeah.
awesome. She's
Mm.
I loved meeting her. I got to meet her, I think last year at Super Fan Con down in Miami, and
Nice.
she was just so cool. Like she like really I was like in line and I was like, gosh, her line is taking forever. Like I waited for a few hours in her line and I was like, why is it moving so slowly? And then we kind of got up closer and I realized she really takes the time to talk with you,
Yep.
which I feel like is really important and something that not a lot of people do. So she really like talks to you, kind of gets to know you, asks you about what she's signing and stuff like that. Like I thought
Yep.
she was just an amazing person.
Yeah, totally. And just being like, I know like a lot of that's her personality. Like she's just the
Yeah.
sweetest, most genuine human. But like for professional sake, being able to be on that well for that long with that many people, like those days, these cons have to be so draining.
Yes.
And every single person, like that is their individual moment, you know? So like just seeing how great she is with literally everybody. Even we got to meet Aiden and Rosario this past year at a
Mhm.
con, and that was so awesome. But again, just more of the same. But like it's impressive to me how just cool and on these people stay throughout. I mean, I'd be 2 hours in, and I'm just like, hi, you know. So I could not do
Yeah,
it. It's impressive.
it is. It is very impressive because I know after the end of the con, especially after multiple days of a con, I'm drained. Like my social battery is exhausted, but I think
Right.
it's like kind of important that they're able to kind of acknowledge like, you know, this is a special moment for them, so I got to make it special. So I appreciate that, which is
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.
And I love those statues. They look awesome.
Yeah, thank.
Are those all from GameStop? Because I think that
So the Bastila is,
okay.
yeah. So the Bastila is the Obi-Wan Kenobi above her, that's from a Gentle Giant. As is the Bo-Katan. Well, I
Okay.
mean, all the rest of them are from Gentle Giant, but there's a Bo-Katan, a Bausch or Boosh, however you say it, Leia on the bottom right, and then a Rise of Skywalker Rey on the bottom left. So I know the Kenobi one's like the milestone statue, they
Gotcha.
call them, and then the rest of them I don't really know, but they're all Gentle Giant, and then the that's the gaming grade statue from GameStop, the Bastila, which those things are awesome, and for the price of those things,
Mhm.
that they're incredible. Like
Yeah.
highly recommend. But I have her and the Revan. They're awesome, awesome things.
Yeah, they are cool. I see them on GameStop, and I was like, "That looks like a GameStop one," but I wasn't sure about the other ones because I haven't seen those at GameStop, but I was just
Yeah,
wondering.
yeah,
The new kind of a different
yep,
view of it, and again, your
yeah,
beanbag is so cool.
yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so this gets into the TVC area. So I actually just redid this area like this past spring, but I originally had all the carded figures individually layered like wallpaper in this section where they were on like little mini command hooks.
Mhm.
And as always, you run out of space, and it's like, all right, well, I know this is the year I'm gonna have to change something. So when I'm bored, it's like, do I finally get rid of carded figures, or do I just start opening some and keep some carded? Blah blah blah. So anyway, after figuring it out, I decided to do like the pegboard system, where you'll kind of install the pegboards and the pegs on the wall like a toy store, and
Mhm.
took me a couple times to buy in the ones that actually I could get up there by myself and make work. But there was a lot of trial and error with it. But most of these figures, they're mostly 5 figures deep on
Okay.
each of those pegs, and I could probably get one more figure on each row looking pretty clean, and then I could probably wedge two extras on there, but it just saves so much space for doing that. And then with that, I can still get variety and kind of rotate what's in the front at
Mhm.
times. And then so that was just a big help coming up with that. So it was a fun project doing it, but like that was everything you do down here. You kind of bottle the materials, you have your idea, and then you sit there down here for like 2 weeks, just like I have no idea where I'm going with this. So
Yeah. I mean, I think it looks really cool. Is there any rhyme or reason to where they are, or they're just
no,
like
it's
they're up there?
exactly the same logic as the Black Series figures. So I try to mix it up and have again a little more of the ones I like more tend to be in the front, but I try to mix up the media, the different shows. The TVC figures all have like different colored like the name pills, so I try to mix up the colors there and not have like all too many of the same ones next to each other. So really just trying to mix it up, and then hung up a couple shelves where I could have some of the strip lights on it. Where that one's actually like a both those shelves I put up the current theme there with some of the loose figures. It's like a homage to the Star Wars video games, but that's like a Jedi Survivor one where not completely crazy accurate, but it's good enough for me. Like I don't stress about accuracy and stuff like that. But it's Cal Kestis and BD1 in the middle, and he's fighting Vader and some Inquisitors, which is the Grand Inquisitor and Reva, and then just some other troopers that were black. So, and then to the left, like there's a lot of creatures and stuff that get in the way in the Jedi Survivor movie or the game. So there's a bunch of Tuskens. So they made that like 4-pack of Tusken Raiders. I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
So they're all basically it's Cal Kestis versus the world. He's got the Empire on one side and a bunch of Tuskens on the other, and then BD1 are trying to figure out what the heck to do about it. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I get it. And I think the Tusken Raiders were like I think they've become more appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
especially I feel like after the Book of Boba Fett, because you really get to kind of see a different side to them. Like they're just not shooting at pod racers and stuff like that. So I thought I like the Tusken Raiders. I think they all look unique and different.
Totally.
Yeah. Kind of another view of it. But
Yeah.
I do see that you have your scenes, which you have some closer up images of, but I'm like such a diorama person. I love how building the scenes, like that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, it's so fun. And the world is yours. You can mix it up. You can do it completely canon. You can not do it that way. Like it's
Yeah.
so fun having the ability to do stuff like that.
Yep. 100%.
That's my Gungan battle. So
Yeah.
yeah, and again, those are some the figures back there. Those are kind of still on command hooks.
Okay.
So, but again, I like had it balanced and have them all even. So I love the symmetry of it. Like I just want the display to be clean, but
Mhm.
with that, I can in time again change those and redo some of the pegboards on that area too. So that's how you kind of like have a display that still looks done, but in time you don't run out of room because you already have like an idea of how you can grow it more in time.
Mhm.
So when I finally need to, I'll probably switch those to some pegboards. But again, some of my more favorite like figures on that shelf. And then the Gungans, those are I really wanted to have a big Gungan battle, and I actually just did this this year too. But with the anniversary of Phantom Menace coming out, I really wanted to do that. So I found that Famba, the big thing on
Mhm.
the left. I found him for a really good price on eBay, and I already had a bunch of those battle droids. They're from the Tartakovsky Clone War TVC ones. Those
Okay.
battle droids, but Walmart had them on sale for like $4.99 at one point. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna buy like 8 or 10 of these, and I'll figure out somewhere to display them eventually. So finally decided to do a Gungan battle, but thought it was awesome. So it's just
Though
like,
it looks really
yeah,
cool, and I like how you have some of the battle droids like in pieces, like they're
yeah,
just in
thanks.
shambles. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Ripped off quite a few arms,
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah,
right?
and this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's one of
I
my
really
favorite.
like that.
Yeah, so that's the Geonosis Battle Arena that came out in the Attack of the Clones line, the like blue box ones when the movies came out, and
Hmm.
that's so cool. And again, it's not truly canonized how my display is, but again, I don't care about stuff like that. It's just I want it to be how I want it to be. So it's kind of a fusion of Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars, because again, that battle starts the Clone Wars. So I kind of have like I have a Cad Bane up top, I have Bo in there. In the middle, I have Anakin, Padme, and Ahsoka. I couldn't tell you how many people commented, and comments are hilarious, but I couldn't tell you how many people would like comment on like some of my older videos, like, well, I gotta tell you, Ahsoka wasn't there, and I'm just like, I saw the movie, I know,
Yeah.
so, but thank you for informing me, but she belongs there in my heart, so she's there, and then yeah, even have a Aura Singh up on the top right, kind of picking people
Hmm.
off, and I even have a Dirge. He's on the right. There's below Aura Singh. There's a like a blue battle droid, and then another blue droid below him. That's actually a Dirge from the Tartakovsky 3 3/4 inch line. So I also love mixing the different lines too on all
Yeah,
these displays. But it's fun, and there's just so many eras of these smaller figures to display.
100%. I didn't even know that they did like that arena type setup. Like I didn't even know that was a thing until I
Yeah,
saw this, and I was like,
so
wow.
cool.
It
Yeah,
is. But I also think like the whole mixing and matching, it's your collection. You can do whatever
right.
you want. It can be canon, it can be whatever you really think fits. And I think
Yeah,
that's the beauty of collecting and displaying your collection. It's your
100%.
stuff.
100%. Because even people that actually played with these toys, like when we were kids, like what did we do? We would literally make up our own stories and play with them, you know. So it should kind of
Yeah,
reflect that.
100%. And then I think that's like a little bit closer of an image of all of them, but I think they all look like really cool. And the
Yeah.
Razor Crest.
So my first HasLab, yeah, I did not get the barge, which with literally everybody ever who did not get the barge, you're kicking yourself for not getting the barge. But bought every TVC one since. But that was the first one I got, and the Razor Crest, it's phenomenal. Hasbro really outdid itself on this one. Like the whole interior is completely finished. Like
Wow.
I think there's even like a bathroom in it. Like there's like an area, like a part that has literally has like his toilet and stuff. But the detail of
Interesting.
that is phenomenal. But it's so well done. So I have that, and then just kind of all my Mando figures displayed. But on the left side of that one, I got some droids and some Jawas pawning off some junk, and then kind of have some of the main characters on the base of it, and then to the right, I have a Moff Gideon and a bunch of troopers. But that I love that piece. That is so cool.
Yeah, it is a massive piece, and I think the barge is really cool, but
Mm.
did you kind of back the ghost in the cantina?
I did. I did both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to do a 2024 like room tour video, but I kind of want to wait till I get the ghost and have it in there. I think it's going to go on basically just the big card table that I'm sitting at right now. And when my wife and I, if we have people or we're playing games, we could just move it. But I think
Yeah.
that's where it's going to go. I mean, it's either going to be that or try to find somewhere where I can actually fit it like upright on like a guitar stand, like a lot of people have done for the big Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I got both. I went ahead and got the Cantina also. Although I must admit, I'm probably more excited for the figures coming with the Cantina than the Cantina itself. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think a lot of people are very excited about the figures that are
yeah,
coming with it more than the cantina itself, but I also think having like the cantina is also pretty important because people have like made their own dioramas and tried to make the scenes and stuff. So I feel like having it all kind of as one will be pretty cool, but it just looks massive.
it's big, but I love how they did it. Like how it's
Yeah.
all kind of individual pieces. Like that was
Hmm.
absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
because it just allows you just to fit it in however you need to. So that was cool. And that's something you can't really do with the ships.
100%. Yep. Totally get it. And I think the Razor Crest is cool. I really wanted to back the Ghost, but I was like, I have no idea where I would put it. Like it just looks. These ships are massive, but I probably should have. But whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure they'll have 1,000 other great HasLabs.
Yeah,
So,
it seems like they. So far, I feel like they've all been backed for the most part, right?
so all the TVC ones have. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
4 for 4 at this point.
yeah.
So
So we'll see.
yeah,
Maybe in the future, when I have a bigger place, I'll back the next one. We'll see.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's actually the Vanderheist playset from Solo. Remember that was a Target exclusive, and it was like the 5 POA line of the Solo figures. So it wasn't TVC, but they had like another line where it was just like 5 points of articulation. But I got that for like a really good deal. I think I was like $100 set, and I got it on sale for like $30 or something.
Oh
So
wow.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that and set that up with some of the Solo figures. So that was cool. Which again, I thought was a great flick. There's parts in the Solo movie like I just didn't think was necessary. Like I didn't care how he got his last name. I didn't care how he met Chewie. I mean, it's cool seeing that, but those are
Yeah.
the things that like I didn't really feel like there's a need for. But again, I love the movie overall. I thought it was super fun. I loved Kira. I hope we get to see more of her at some point. I thought, and I will say, I thought both the actors that portrayed, I can't think of the guy that played Han, the actor's name, but it's like Aiden something maybe. But I thought he nailed it, and I thought Donald Glover nailed Lando. Like I thought they did such a good job.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. It's something with an A, but I really liked the Solo movie. And again, I feel like that's
Yeah.
another slept on project, but I
Mhm.
thought it was really good. And I was kind of shocked that we've yet to kind of get like a follow up with it because I feel like that could be really cool. But maybe I just really want to see more of Donald Glover as Lando because I
Yeah.
thought he was probably the best part of that. So I don't know. Maybe
So
we'll get like a spin off. We'll see.
hopefully, because aren't they supposed to be making like a? It was going to be a
Yeah.
series, then it was a movie. Then I heard he was directing it. But do you know anything about where this is at?
I have no idea where it is currently. I know it was like in the works or they were like talking about it, and I don't really know where maybe they've just like put a pin in it at the moment, but I don't know. But I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do a spin-off with him, and I was like, this is gonna be really cool, and
Hmm.
nothing has really come to fruition. So
No.
we'll see. I'll keep waiting though, because it was good.
Yeah, definitely.
And some of your scenes, which are very impressive.
Yep. So that's my Death Star scene on the top shelf there, where basically literally have Luke taking on the whole Empire himself, but literally Luke is there in the middle, and then yeah, just the Emperor and his throne. You know, some higher ranking officers, bunch of troopers. They're all flanking him. And then the bottom shelf there is the carbon freeze chamber, which was a weird playset, but then once you doctored it up, it was great. Like the first off, like those big poles you see standing up, those
Hmm.
are supposed to be what the whole thing is on. So it was like really elevated, and it kind of just looked cheap like that. And because it was stairs, there was an incline.
Hmm.
The higher poles were supposed to be on the back, like where the platform with Vader is on the left. And then
Hmm.
the smaller poles were going to be on like the part where the actual carbon freeze chamber and stuff was. But basically found that the smaller ones could go on the back. And then it was still the perfect height for the rest of it to actually just be standing on the floor. So I just kind of sticky tacked up the poles just randomly. And then the bottom was hollow, like under the stairs. So I
Hmm.
basically cut out like construction paper to conceal that, and then put a bunch of LED strip lights under it to light up the orange stuff. So you kind of had to mess with it, but once you did, it's a super cool playset. But like displaying it how it's supposed to be displayed, it just looked kind of cheap and just flimsy. So
Yeah. Interesting. I was wondering about the lights. I was like, that's pretty cool that it came, lit up and stuff, but I think it looks a lot better lit up. And it's
yeah,
interesting.
definitely. And you have to think they had this in mind because the orange was definitely kind of transparent a little bit to where it shows the light. So
Yeah.
I think they're probably assuming people would do that. But yeah, it came out great when you did that.
Yeah. That looks really cool. I like that a lot. I like both of those a lot. And you got the
And
classic hallway scene.
yep, and I just replaced it, the Leia with the new TVC one. I had the old Power of the Force 2 Leia up there, which again I love all the eras of the figures, but the new TVC Leia is phenomenal, and the ability to have her hood on her. I'm actually, I don't know if you can see, I'm actually rocking my
Oh,
other way.
sheesh.
Actually, rocking
Nice.
my Leia shirt right now, but I absolutely love that look, and with the white hood on, it's just so great. So just replace that, and then I got my Jabba's palace below that, which just the characters in that are so fun. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love the band characters. Those are like always my favorite. Like Max Rebo playing,
oh yeah,
I think that's probably like one of my favorite little figures. He's such like an interesting character, and
yeah,
like you don't really see him like anywhere else, like his species. So I feel like he's so unique to like that time period, that scene. Like I love him. He's my favorite.
totally, yeah,
And you kind of move a little bit over. You've
yeah.
got
So
the
there's a
whole
mhm.
bounty hunters. I
Yeah.
think.
So the bottom, that's kind of it's basically my slave one, but that's I'm trying to basically do like a Shadows of the Empire display. So have all the old like Power of the Force era, Power of the Force 2 era Shadows of the Empire figures. And I got Boba Fett's ship and then a swoop bike and then just some of the other bounty hunters because in theory they could be there, but basically they're all trying to get Han and Carbonite. So he's laying there in the middle. Everybody's trying to snag him. So just did that because uh, I want to say it was 96 when Shadows of the Empire kind of came out, but there was a book and then there was a video game that was on the N64 and it was just like so huge at that point in time. I literally bought that system to be able to play the Shadows of the Empire video game. And I
Mhm.
remember I basically got money. I had my first like mixed gender birthday party when I was 13 and I had like everybody bring money and then my mom got mad at me for telling the kids that I wanted money as a gift, which I don't know why it's wrong to say what you actually want when people are buying you a
Yeah.
present. But anyway, I got money to buy a N64 and then the Shadows of the Empire game. So it's just a special time in life playing that. And then the top shelf there, that's actually it's two of the sets. But again, they made these so customizable. But it's the Navarro Cantina from
Mhm.
The Mandalorian, and I decided to make that like a full like free functioning bar. So I got two of the sets, laid them together. One of the bars is being used as the stage for the band, and then the other bar, it's actually Watto and Dexter Jetster running the bar, and it's just a huge mix of folks. But I made it a point to be very droid heavy because I feel like there's so many bars in Star Wars where like, no droids, blah blah blah. So I wanted to make an inclusive bar that was very droid friendly and a safe space for them. So all the droids can come to our cantina and spend all their droid money here. So I tried to make a bunch of droids all over the place.
I think it was cool too because I think it was Mando. They had that like droid bar, like it was a
Yeah,
droid only bar, and I was like, "That is pretty cool." I like that. I mean, they still walked in and kind of wrecked the place, but I was like, "Interesting."
right.
But
They got to be
yeah,
hanging out somewhere.
yeah,
Right.
they got to be somewhere. They got to get their drinks too. But
Right.
I feel like the one HasLab project that I would love to see is like a Dexter's Diner.
That would be so awesome.
I feel like that is, like, the equivalent of, like, the original trilogy's generation of, like, the cantina, like, that is my like, the prequel babies, like,
It'd
Dexter's Diner.
be so
I love
cool.
it.
He would have to have soft goods pants so he can have his like plumber's crack hanging out.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be so cool.
Oh, I love him. He's such a I
Yeah,
didn't even see him back there, but I love Dex.
yeah,
He's
she's
so,
trying
like, such a unique character.
totally.
And then kind of move a little bit over, and you
Yep.
got Boba.
Yes, that's the Boba Fett's throne room, and there's actually like a front piece that goes over like a big archway. And I
Oh,
actually found like I kind of like it displayed without that, so I just took it off because it like blocked so much of it, and just where I have it displayed, like
mhm.
it you couldn't see anything from below it because it basically had a roof. And that's
Gotcha.
also something like going back to the Cantina HasLab. I was shocked how many people were complaining that it didn't have a roof, but it's like what if you this has a roof, you can't see all the figures. So like what's the who wants to have something that you can't even really see in? So I didn't understand that argument at all, but with this I just flat took it off and since I already have a Jabba's display, I definitely wanted to have some representation of the Book of Boba Fett. So I made that the Boba Fett's throne room. So what I'm currently working on with it, Bib is still there on the floor in the middle, and him and Fennec took the throne, and then I basically in the back I'm working on just buying up a bunch of other like random Mandalorian figures. So I'll just kind of over time just have more Mandos hanging out back there. And then above that, it's my Battle of Endor display.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that looks good. I like the little Ewoks with over the trooper.
yeah, thanks. Yeah,
I like your little like subtle like I just think they look really cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I see the Lego Falcon, which
Yes.
is a
So
very impressive set, in my
I love it.
opinion.
Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit of a Lando shelf. So I have the Lando's Falcon from Solo, and then the TVC figure. But the book is actually really cool because Billy D. Williams actually wrote like a memoir this year,
Wow.
and he actually did when he wrote it, he did like maybe like 10 or 15 cities where he did like a book tour, and we're in DC, so he actually came to DC, and my wife and her mom and I went to see him, and he basically did like a like a 1 hour talk talking about the book, but you can actually buy autographed copies of his book there. So that's actually a hand signed copy of the book from Billy D. And so I was like, I got to display that. So put that up there as kind of a Lando shelf. And then some of the other shelves, I got some of my statues, but I have a Grand Inquisitor from Kenobi there. And then there's a Mace Windu on the shelf below. But,
Yeah, I love Mace, especially that new statue that I think Sideshow did of him. I think that looks really cool.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many cool ones, but I really am about to pull the trigger on that Vader, like 100%. I think it looks too good.
The battle damaged one?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
tried so hard to stay away from hot toys and stuff, but it just looks too good, and like you can tell it's Hayden. So I'm like, I feel like I'm just gonna do it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Nice.
Might
You should.
pre-order it. Yeah, I might. And then you got your little bar set up because this is your cantina.
Yeah, so actually have a little bit of our stock stuff there, but above that, those are actually cross-stitched pictures that a former client of mine named Dana made for me. She made the Ahsoka and the Mandalorian one, which I thought was really cool. And basically I think they were like holiday presents 2 years in a row. So I think those are actually really cool. And then have kind of our bar area where got some of our cocktails and stuff. And then they have a couple bar stools on the other side. It's a little 2-seater bar, but they actually have Stormtrooper bar stools, which are kind of cool. But got them at Home Depot. And then so they're right there, and then have a porg sitting by the booze, and then
Yeah. And I peeped your little cocktail menu.
Yeah, so we made up some like Star Wars themed house specials with like their credit amounts and things like that. And even that, like I like sat there thinking about it, and it was just I even like repriced something because like in time it didn't make sense. And then you have this moment, you're just like, dude, what have you become? You're sitting here in the basement contemplating the prices of your fake Star Wars drinks and your fake Star Wars bar, but it's keeps me busy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the feels, you know? It's gotta
Yeah.
feel like you've created your own universe.
Right. And we have 3 basically handheld like printed menus there with all drinks. So again, we'll have people over, have them come down, you hand them a menu, like everybody's just like, oh my God, but people just get a kick out of it. So it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got some of the mini busts, which I'm a huge fan
Yeah.
of. I love those. I think the Padme is my favorite. It looks so good.
Yeah, they're so good. And I really love the mini busts, and I think for what you get, they're priced really well for the quality, because like this, I mean, they're not cheap, but like this day and age, I could see them charging double for them, and people would still buy them. So they're about 100, give or take, a piece. But I love them. They're super detailed. They're heavy duty. But yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I started getting into them. I'm trying to like collect up the Rebels line at the moment, but I feel like for what you get, it's not the full 1/6 scale figure, but I feel like for what it is, it's really nice quality. So
Yeah,
I'm a big
100%.
fan of it. Big fan of it.
Yeah.
Then you've got the bar kind of overview, which looks absolutely insane. How did you like come up with the idea to do a cantina?
It was just stuff I like, but also finding of a good negotiation to make our entire basement the collection room. So with that, I mean, it's essentially a third of our house, if you will, and I wanted to be an area my wife and I can actually hang out in. So
Mhm.
there's stuff we could do down here, and we have like parties. We can have people down here too. So it made sense to kind of put a bar in there. And I was like, oh, I could do like a Star Wars theme kind of thing. So even like where it has our name and the name of the bar, you see that like black thing to the left
Mhm.
above like the Lego Falcon. That's actually a copy of the menu also of
Oh,
the drink
wow.
specials and stuff. So I actually have a mounted menu up there. And but with that, I love hanging out at bars. I mean, not that I'm like a crazy drinker or anything, but I do like to have a social drink on the weekends. And I just
Yeah.
like chilling at a bar and watching sports or something. So wanted to incorporate that and just the card table. And then behind the bar is a bunch of board games and stuff. So we just wanted to be able to make it like a game room / bar. And the idea, everything kind of just kept growing as we did it. So
Yeah.
it worked out well. So it was basically just a compromise of us being able to chill down here and it not just be a collection room.
Yeah, absolutely, which I feel like is important, having kind of like a functional collection room that you could kinda sit in and enjoy and kind of bask in your collection and, having a drink too, I feel like makes it all the better,
Yeah, totally.
right?
Mhm.
And then I love the stools, I think those look really cool, but your
Uh,
pop collection is so
yeah,
impressive.
thanks.
It is
So,
really cool.
I appreciate it. I love them so much. I just got on Friday the new Gaming Greats box set from
Okay.
GameStop, the
Mhm.
Nihilus and the Scion one.
Yeah.
So cool. I was to get Darth Nihilus pop. I was so pumped about that. So I
Yeah.
just got that Friday and worked them into this area. But that's basically the backdrop of the bar. So if you're sitting at the bar facing the wall, you're basically facing the pops.
Yeah, which is a good view.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but that's cool. So what were your thoughts then on, they did, like, the Malgus and the Traya, I think, and
yep.
the other droid. What were your thoughts on those?
I'm super pumped. Yeah, I mean, just the more obscure characters and EU stuff they work in is phenomenal. Like, so
Yeah,
I'm really pumped and like I again, space is getting harder and harder with these, but like I love them. I'm gonna have to get all of those,
yeah.
and even the new Django Fett they showed too. I definitely want that one.
Oh my gosh,
So
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, that and the, young Boba Fett. It's
yep,
about
yeah,
time, you
yeah.
know?
Tom Lee's here.
And then I see you kinda have some sections. I see an Ahsoka dedicated one, which I love.
Yep. Yep.
So
So this breaks the mold of my randomness. So these are all kind of actual like theme displays. So this is kind of below the main area of pops,
mhm,
still behind the bar, but the top right, and it's not just pops. These are just kind of pops and working other random stuff in
yeah,
too, but all theme. But the top right's a Last Jedi shelf, and then the middle right's a Mandalorian shelf, and then the bottom one is just like a Hoth themed shelf. And
okay,
then in the middle section, the top shelf, I have Kylo Ren, Darkside Ray, and then all the Knights of Ren
yeah,
pops, and then a Rogue One shelf, and then I don't even remember when Funko they did those like gold pops for the 9
mhm,
movies. So they
yep,
did the same thing with like 3 3/4 action figures. They had like there were 2 packs, but they're all gold for also all of the 9 main movies. So I got all those. So those are all on the that bottom shelf, and then to the left there, the top one's an Ahsoka shelf, the middle's a Luke Skywalker shelf, and then the bottom one's a droids and Ewok shelf, kind of the old cartoon shows.
mhm.
A bunch of droids and Ewoks mixed in there.
Yeah, I like it. It
Uh,
looks really good. It looks
thanks.
it looks good. I think
Yeah.
that's kinda like a different angle of it, but you got some on the left, I see, like a kinda
Yep.
like a Dagobah Yoda kind of situation.
Yep. So it's a top one. Well, the top is a Phantom Menace shelf, and then the Yoda shelf, yeah, it's all Yoda shelf, and then the Dagobah pop playset, if you will, but him getting the ship out of the water. I'll say that is my top scene in all of the saga. Is that moment, that scene?
Yeah.
It just resonated so hard with me in life. Of like, if you relax your mind and if you believe in yourself, there's no challenge you cannot overcome. And I just love that scene. And John Williams playing Yoda's theme as the ship's coming out. I still cry like a baby when I watch it, and I've seen it probably 85 times now, maybe more. But it's great. And then there's a Vader shelf, and then the bottom one's a Boba Fett shelf there.
Yeah, I think that, like, movie moment of him with, like, the X-Wing and stuff, like, that's one that's eluded me, but it's one that I've always had my eye on. Like, I would love to have that one because I think it just looks really cool. You kinda have, like, the Funko-esque, like, X-Wing kind of rising out, like, I think it's probably one of the best movie moments that I feel like Funko has done. So, it's a
Yeah.
very impressive one.
Yeah, it's even creative how they have the ship elevated because, like,
Mhm.
when the ship comes out, you see all the water dripping off it.
Yeah.
Basically, the water is basically what's holding the ship up, and I just thought that was so creative. But yeah,
Really.
they nailed that one.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Because I mean, I get when they use the acrylics and stuff, but I feel like when you can work in kind of the stand like, kind of having the stand work with the scene makes it look
Yeah,
so much better. Like, it probably wouldn't look as cool if they had, like, the little acrylic stands kinda just, like, elevating it. So I think having the water and, like, the moss and stuff holding it up is, like, top tier.
yeah,
Funko,
totally.
chef's kiss on that one.
See?
And then I think that's a different view, and then you got to see a little bit more of your Phantom Menace, which is
Yeah,
really good. I'm loving the Phantom Menace line so far. Looks good.
everything they did this year too was just excellent. So
Yeah,
yeah, I got
very
basically
good.
all the Padmes they've done for this year one. So the Padme Nayberry, if you will, but like her disguise one, and then
Mhm.
the one in the throne, and then the like what do they call it? The prototype or the retro one?
The
What?
retro, yeah,
Yeah. So I got that one, and then I got
beautiful.
the retro Jar Jar. But I'm loving all those, and just kind of a bunch of those displayed, and then to the right, that's cool. That's actually going back to where you come down the stairs,
Mhm.
but under the lightsabers. But basically, for the autographs, I have 3 out of these 5 that I'm trying to get. One's going to be extremely difficult, and I had a chance to get it this summer, but I passed on it because I actually
Oh.
want to meet her. I don't want to just send something. But basically, I have a what I'm doing with these autographs is I'm having a boxed Black Series figure be what's signed. And then with that, I each have the same respective Gentle Giant mini bust, and then the same version of a 3 3/4 action figure. So I have them all kind of displayed together. But there's the Rosario Dawson Ahsoka on the right, the Ashley Eckstein Ahsoka, and then the Hayden Christensen signed Vader, and then have a Padme in her white outfit, and then a Dark Side Ray. So I did have a chance. Natalie Portman is actually doing there's a company where you can send in stuff for an autograph
Mhm.
for just the figure, signed, shipped back, 625. So I had a chance, but I'm like, if I'm paying that money, I at least want to say hi to her or something, or at least meet her, you know?
For
So I decided to pass on it and holding out, but I also know it's pretty understood she rarely signs. So I don't know if she'll ever do a con or something, but I got real things in life to worry about, so I couldn't just send that out. And then I think Daisy Ridley will be pretty easy to get eventually. I'm sure she'll be at a thousand cons in the future. So have the Dark Side Ray over there. So I still need to get those 2 signed, but the other ones are all signed, which is cool. And I kind of a display situation just kind of made up, but it dawned on me it's like, hey, I have the same costumes in these 3 things. I could display them all together, and it became the
Mhm.
theme. So, and then the second shelf there, those are actually like 3 drones. I think Propel or something was the
Ooh.
brand. So I've never flied them, nor will I. But I got them on sale one year. But they're 3 drones. But there's a Darth Vader's Tie Fighter, a speeder bike, and then an X-wing in the middle, and then 2 of the smaller Gentle Giant mini bus. But there's a Hammerhead and a 501st Trooper, and just some random droids on the floor there.
Yeah. I was wondering what those, the drones were. I was like, "What?" Those are, like, tiny, like, but I wonder what they are. But I did see, Natalie Portman did the send-in thing, and I was like, "Oh, like, this is cool, like, this is a unique opportunity." I got their checkout, and I was like, $600? And I don't even get to say
Yeah,
hello or, like, have a conversation? Mm.
right.
So, I'm just gonna hold out hope that eventually she'll make her way to a con or maybe, like, a celebration or something, and that'll
Hmm.
be my moment, but I feel like as soon as she does do a con, it's gonna be hands down a madhouse. I think
Yeah, it.
100%.
First seeing Hayden and Rosario at the con that we saw them at this past year, it was awesome. But like, if there was a trick to do, we did it. Like, got the like skip the line passes.
Mhm.
Basically, was there literally right when doors open, literally running to get in Hayden's line. We still probably were in line 6 hours out of that day to get both their autographs. So
Yep.
Seeing the bigger ticket people, it's a madhouse. But again, they're both so pleasant, such great moods, and they're making a ton of money doing it. So I definitely understand that. I'd be pretty happy too. But like just staying on, and it didn't impress me they don't screw up their signature. Like imagine if you make a mistake, you're doing something 1,000 times. I mean, you're bound to mess up. So it's just like high pressure having to be perfect all the time. But it was cool. But yeah, a line. If I ever have the opportunity, I would definitely get Natalie's, and I definitely want to get Daisy's here. But I also probably wouldn't turn down Mark Hamill. So,
which I think he's going to Chicago.
Nice. Nice.
But I'm not going to Chicago this year. So I would like to get Mark Hamill's. I think that's like, I feel like that's just like a have to have. But right. I feel like if like Natalie Portman goes anywhere, I would make the trip and try to go get something signed, because I feel like that's like a once in a lifetime type of thing, because she rarely, if ever, goes to cons. So
yeah, totally. Like I think she may have. I think to promote the last Thor movie, I think she may have did kind of like a little promo, just say hi at San Diego Comic-Con, maybe it was, when the like Love and Thunder came out. But I think that's like all that we saw. But I don't think she did anything outside of that. And I could even be wrong on that. Maybe there's something else I saw. But I feel like I saw her do some promo event for that. But I don't think she did autographs or anything.
Yeah. Like I feel like she would show face, but actually like having a line and having people sign and doing photo ops, I feel like is very rare for her.
Right.
Okay. We'll see. And that's a different view of your TV stand. I'm glad that you're a Lego fan. I love Legos.
They're fun. They're hard to display just because, again, they take up so much room, and then moving. My God, moving them is the worst.
Yeah.
Like that was a hard part, moving them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's probably like the worst part. I love the Legos and stuff, but displaying them, you really have to get creative. And for some of like my ships and stuff, I've bought like little stands that you can like elevate them and kind of have them look like they're flying. But moving them is a whole different. That's like a beast in itself. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
What's your favorite Lego ship you have?
So I really like the Millennium Falcon. I probably won't get the new Dark Side one, but I really like the Falcon. Like I like the play features on it because you can like open it and stuff. Yeah. But I would really like to get like the Star Destroyer, like the Ultimate Collector Series one. Yeah. That's on my list, but I'm pretty sure it's retiring soon. So once it retires, the price of it's just gonna skyrocket. But yeah, that's one I would like to add to my collection. But I think at the moment it's the Falcon.
Nice.
It's a big one, but it's cool. But I haven't built the midi scale one, and I think I have the Tantive too that I need to build, which I think will look pretty cool.
So nice.
We'll see. Yeah. And I love these Hot Toys. You got the big three.
Mm-hmm.
Female power.
Yeah, really, really fun. And then
yeah, those look really cool. And you have another Padme.
I do. So that's actually one of the Gentle Giant statues that they released. I think came out last year. Mm-hmm. But that's so cool. I love that one. And then that Darth Talon, that is actually my one and only thing that I bought that's a 3D printed custom thing from somebody. But there's a seller on Etsy that basically makes like 3D printed things and will hand paint them, everything. His work is phenomenal. And there was just one day I just randomly was looking. He was doing a 50% off sale. And I was just like, oh, man, this is the time. I mean, we're never going to get any Talon anything, maybe ever. So I was like, because the Gentle Giant did like a statue back in the day, but that's like probably $1,400 you're paying now if you're going to buy that. And that's kind of, out of my league with this. So that was actually a great piece to find. I wish the lighting highlighted her a little better, but the details, it's incredible. But that's such a cool thing. And basically painted it. Took a little while to get. Like it probably took 3 or 4 months since I ordered it to actually get it. But shipped it. Everything was individually kind of wrapped up, and you kind of just model glue and put it all together, and the rest is done. But it's phenomenal. I love that thing so much. And then that's actually to the right. That's a a playset, like a Last Jedi playset that's Snoke's throne room, but it was actually a BB-8 playset. So when you close it up, it's literally a BB-8, and then you open it, it was that. So it was just very random how they did that, but I basically did that to have like a sequels diorama. So got all them up there. Then the bottom shelf, I actually have kind of the Resistance characters because they actually made some of those. And as the one Star Wars series, I tried so hard to finish, and I just can't. I get it's designed for a 7-year-old, so I 100% get that. But like, I tried so hard to finish it, I just can't. But they take place during the sequels era, and I had the figures, so I wanted to have some sort of representation of it. So they're on the bottom shelf there.
Yeah, you might as well. I had no idea that that was 3D printed. That's actually so cool. I was
Oh,
like, "Oh,
Dark
that's probably like
Talons.
a sideshow, like, statue." That looks amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like it was really, really cool. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, that looks very impressive. I'm kind of shook. I'm shook. I
Yeah.
think that's like a closer picture of
Yep.
kind of the front of the stairs kind of situation.
Hmm.
And then see some more carded figures.
Yeah, so there's some of the Power of the Force 2 figures. Um, and again, those are kind of the main line that I was collecting when I was a kid, like in the 90s. And
Mhm.
so many people got into collecting from that toy line. So it's cool having them. And like the first run, I don't know why they were called red cards, but I guess it was just because there was a green or a red lightsaber at the time for the most part. Like there wasn't like the orange and yellowish sabers like in actual media in EU, yes, but like the cards are very much orange, but they called them the red cards, where those were the first runs. Then eventually they changed them to the green cards. So a lot of the Power of the Force 2 figures, you see the box, the lightsaber's green,
Ah,
but the red ones were like the first like year or maybe the first two waves of them. So I feel like those are kind of the more iconic ones. And then just a couple random posters, but that's like a utility room, and then some storage under the stairs, and then one of the other doors is like where our washer and dryer is. But just again, just random posters and trying to represent all the different media, stuff like that. And yeah,
yeah.
so they're
Yeah,
there.
it's a good selection. You see Kenobi, Solo, Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi. I think I see like a Lego Slave One situation peeking behind that X-wing, which looks
yeah. So
cool.
that was a May the 4th giveaway one year from
Ooh.
Lego's site. Like if you spent X amount, you'd get like it was like an anniversary. It was a 20-year anniversary of Lego Star Wars being a thing. So they basically had a little poster you could get on May the 4th that has just a couple of the older Lego sets. So
Cool, cool,
yeah,
cool. And I think this is the last image that you sent me, which I think is just like a different view of some more posters and stuff. But I love the Padme poster. I think that looks great.
it was also an Etsy purchase. But yeah, have that and then have room on the bottom of that for one more poster. So I'm not sure if I would get into Ahsoka or what, but I just want to kind of see where the world takes me. And then
Yeah.
yeah, kind of just some doors that I was talking about, and then the card table that I'm sitting at right now that we'll play games and stuff at.
Yeah, your collection is so impressive. I like how you have everything set up. It goes very well together.
And I appreciate that, and I love yours too. Like I
Oh,
I
thank you.
watched you on the Star Wars collections and displays
Oh
show a
yeah,
couple weeks ago. I love how you have stuff set up. I love how orderly and it's very clean the way you have it displayed. So I think your display is awesome too, and I'm a
thank you.
big fan of like stuff being symmetrical and kind of like classy looking, and yours really does that, especially like with us being like toy collectors and stuff. It's very easy to have it kind of just like a bunch of junk just kind of hoarded and thrown somewhere. So the
Yeah,
way you have stuff displayed makes such a difference, and I think you do such a great job too. I love your displays.
thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, I try. I kind of have a little bit of OCD a little bit, so I try to have everything. But I think how you display things is like a whole other thing because I think
Mm.
collecting it's multifaceted. Yes, you can get a bunch of items, but I really think how you display your collection is like a whole other aspect to it, which is a more creative kind of take that you could have, and you have kind of creative freedom of how you want to display things, and you could change it if you don't like it, and you can do all these different things and add lights and all this kind of stuff, which I enjoy. Like, that's the part of collecting that I enjoy, is being able to, like, kind of display and move stuff around and see what works and what doesn't. So
Totally.
that's my setup. But I guess my last two questions before we wrap up
Mhm.
is, what is your favorite piece in your collection? If you have one, that might be hard. That's always the hardest question, I feel like.
So it is, but I have a very easy cop out answer. It's the picture of my wife and I at Disney World
Yeah.
seeing Chewbacca, just because it incorporates her, and that was just such a great day in my life. So I really hold on to the sentimental value of that. So I would probably pick that as the number one thing, and then maybe the number two thing, if I had to pick like an actual object, maybe the HasLab Razor Crest, but that might be the number two, or the Hot Toys. I don't know. So I'm gonna stick with the picture of my wife and I.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, my
Yeah,
favorite piece at the moment is a picture of me and Hayden, so I get it. Pictures are worth 1,000 words sometimes. So, and then
definitely.
my last question is, since this is a collecting podcast, if you could give one piece of advice to collectors out there, what would it be?
Have fun with it. I mean, if you lose that, there's no point in doing it, and it can get very it. It's a financial burden, so that could put stress on it. So with that, don't do anything stupid. Take your time doing it. Think. If there's something you want, you can eventually get it. Even if that means you have to pay a little more for it, wait till where you can actually get it and it doesn't stress you out, or you don't feel like you made a bad decision. And then don't get caught up in like pre-order windows, that things get sold out, things like that. Like, don't get caught up in anything that drives stress to the situation. Because I would probably speak for a lot of us saying that we do this because it's a non-stressing thing that makes us just get away from the real things in life, and just allows us just to just relax and just take a breath, you know? So just do not let it get stressful. So keep it fun.
Okay, that is
Yeah.
some good words of wisdom. I appreciate it. But it was a great really was a pleasure having you on. It was great getting to talk to you, to look at your collection. So I'm glad that we finally were able to do this. You are such a great guy. So I greatly
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
you coming on. But before we jump off, can you let people
Mhm.
know one more time where they can find you, if you have anything upcoming that people should be on the lookout for, things like that?
Yeah, so first and foremost, Lex, thank you so much. I've watched your channel forever, and then I watched the podcast you have with Chris on
Yeah.
Saturdays, and I think that's so fun, and just I just love your positivity, and I think you're an awesome speaker too. Like, you really could be a public speaker, which is not a skill a lot of people have. So I just love your stuff and big fan, and I just am happy to be here. So thank you for having me. And for finding me, I'm Return of the Jedi. It's literally Return of the Jedi movie with Joe in it instead of Jedi. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, and I just basically show pictures of Star Wars toys. So,
Yeah. But I will leave all your links down in the description so people can find you easy. So please go check out his channel, his collection, leave a like, a subscribe, and I will see everybody next Thursday.
take care, y'all.